Hello everyone, this is Mumbo here, welcome back, and today is another episode of Too Small, the show in which we take an average everyday contraption and say, hey, that's far too small, how about we make it 10 times bigger? And this episode is absolutely no exception. In this one, we're going to be taking a look at the Minecart powered Blaze XP farm. Now I'm going to be honest with you, when I first started building this one, it wasn't actually meant for a too small episode. The theory was that I'd be able to make a simpler, more efficient Blaze farm, but sadly, the contraption got very complicated very quickly. That said, it's still pretty cool and it uses some interesting game mechanics, so let's take a closer look. On the screen right now will be some sped up footage of this thing working, just so you can get a rough idea of how it goes about its business, but the principles are actually really very simple. We've got ourselves a blaze farm and that spews out blaze. They then fall down and land on the platform, then the minecarts are dispensed, they travel across the platform, picking up the blaze as they go and dropping them down into that little loop thing. The minecarts travel around the loop and then drop the blaze off in the killing chamber. Then the minecarts travel up to the top, hit the cactus, they then drop down into the hoppers and transport themselves down into the dispensers so that you can repeat the same process all over again. Now I know what you're thinking, because I was thinking the same thing as well. That sounds very, very simple. I thought it would just be an easy redstone contraption and it would be a really easy to build blaze farm, but sadly, that was not the case. There's actually quite a lot of things to think about with this one. You've got sequences, you've got various different redstone timing circuits, and most importantly, you have to make sure that all of the dispensers always have minecarts in them, because of course otherwise, it's not going to work. Couple that with the fact that minecarts in Minecraft are extremely difficult to deal with, you've got yourself a bit of a headache. But needless to say, after a little bit of fiddling around with both the minecarts and all of the redstone, I have managed to get a design that works most of the time, and I'll get onto that in a little bit. But before we do, of course, I've gathered up quite a large number of blaze over those couple of minutes, so I guess it's only right that I take them out using this splash potion. Now I've already hit them with a potion of poison using this button here, so if you just chuck this, they should, in theory, all die. They have been taken out, and we have got ourselves a huge number of XP. I can't even see anything, and that's the best way to be. Now that I've gathered up a decent number of levels, I think it's about time we start discussing some of the flaws of this design, because unfortunately there are a couple of them, and all of them are to do with minecarts. For example, down at the bottom here you can see we've got this little ledge. Now 9 times out of 10 the minecarts will fly off the end just fine, landing on this little loop and continuing on their journey. But occasionally you get a very strange issue where they actually get stuck on the edge. They don't transfer off the edge, and they just get stuck on the edge there, despite the fact that all of this is powered rails, which once again, that's a bit strange. Then if we take a look over here, these corners, they occasionally cause some problems. Sometimes the minecarts just stop in this section, which is really very odd. And if we head over to this activator rail, this has been the cause of quite a lot of grief in my department. For example, depending on the orientation of the build, the blaze will pop out on this side or this side. Now that's not too much of a problem, but occasionally if you get really unlucky, the blaze will pop out on top of the activator rail, which means that you won't be able to actually push them down into the killing chamber, which makes this pretty useful for building in survival, because if you did get that bad luck, then that means that you've spent a lot of time building something that will never actually work. Now the worst part about this is it actually seems to be world dependent. For example, when I transferred this build from my redstone testing world into this air world using MC Edit, it actually changed up the orientations and I had to do this crazy minecart loop thing. Really very frustrating. But despite all of its flaws, I do actually think this design is really very interesting, which is why I decided to share it with you, because I thought that some of you out there might actually look at that and think of better ways to do certain elements of the design, which is something that I really would like to see, because this could be made simpler, I believe, and you would be able to fix all of those flaws, and we could end up having a really very simple blaze farm on our hands that will allow us to get loads of blaze rods and loads of XP relatively easily. Now as always, there is a world download down in the description for anyone that wants to check that out in a little bit more detail, but unfortunately, ladies and gentlemen, that is all I've got time for today. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please be sure to hit that like button, and if you really loved it, then make sure to subscribe. But thanks for watching, guys. This has been Mumbo, and I'm out. I'll see you later.